Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I have a fun one for you today. Today I will be opening up a book, choosing a random word, and making a story about it on the spot. So, here we go. So, first things first, I gotta choose my book. Let's go with this one. Liver Rescue. Great. Alright, let's pick a word. Dermatoxins. Define dermatoxins. A dermatoxin is a toxic chemical that damages the skin, mucous membranes, or both, often leading to tissue necrosis. All right. Dermatoxin. There once was a microscopic dermatoxin named Kevin. Kevin lived in Chemalosity, a hub for all different types of chemicals and toxins, and together, well, they grew up. Kevin was born with no parents. He was an orphan in Chemalosity and immediately started getting knocked around in the system and questioning his life and questioning why he existed and what was the point of it all. Kevin eventually made it to the age where he started going to school. After bouncing around, he finally got to be in a classroom with other kids, some of which who had been orphans and others who grew up in families. And as Kevin started going to school, he quickly started learning about the purpose of his life. While he was going to school, they would see diagrams and they would see pictures of far off lands, of places they one day would go. And they were taught year after year of what life is like outside of Chemalosity. And as Kevin slowly started going to school and slowly getting grade to grade, he started to wonder if the way of Chemalosity was the right way to live. Some people never left Chemalosity, but some people were destined to leave and travel the world and see other things that life had to offer. But it was never decided by the person. Chemalosity had a group of advisors, and those advisors would handpick people, usually at random, to leave Chemalosity and go fulfill their duties. What those duties were, no one fully knew. They just knew that one day someone might come knocking on their door and they would have to leave Chemalosity, and anyone who ever left Chemalosity never came back. It was a point of anxiety for a lot of the people that lived in Chemalosity. Oftentimes, they would live their days in fear that someone would knock on the door. Anytime a neighbor came by or a friend came by unannounced and knock on the door, their skin would tighten and their face would flush, wondering if this was the moment that someone was coming to collect them and pull them out of their house and send them out into the world. A beautiful place to go, but the part about never returning always sat on their minds. One thing that was certain was that they never took children. Children had to complete school before they were to be pulled and taken out of Chemalosity and sent on some grand adventure. And every single school assignment during their time in school was teaching them about this grand adventure that they were to go on. No one fully understood how everyone knew what they were supposed to do. No one fully understood where they were in the world. They just knew when it happened, and you left. In school, they would teach the kids about going through the environment and killing as many things as they could. They taught kids about cutting down trees as they walked, setting fires to houses, and ripping open the earth and creating earthquakes as much as they can, and hoping that the hot lava would spill out from the internal depths of the ground in which they walked in. Chemalosity was otherwise a pretty upbeat place. Besides the constant droning of potential impending doom, it was a pretty upbeat place. People would bounce from place to place, they would enjoy their days, but the city itself wasn't very clean. It was pretty destroyed. And one day, Kevin had an idea. Well, if I'm going to be here and I don't know how long, I'm graduating in a few months, let me start cleaning up the city. maybe we can make the city better, and maybe the council won't send as many people out and more people could stay in Camelosity. And Kevin started cleaning up and doing his best to depollute the city and pick up trash and just clean up generally. And other citizens actually saw him and started helping. And as Kevin was doing this for the last few months of his school, he finally got to the last grade in school where he learned what their true purpose was. The world in which they lived in needed to die. And the only people that were capable of this were people that were personally selected by the council. So Kevin, continuously questioning and having no idea what the purpose was, finally graduated, got his diploma, and prepared for a life of, well, waiting. Kevin went out with his friends that night that he graduated. He enjoyed the night and got up in the morning, his normal routine to start going out and trying to make Camelosity a better place. And as he was getting his dressed and getting ready to go out, a knock was on the door. He wasn't expecting any friends. As Kevin went out to the door and he opened it, he saw an officially dressed man in a suit next to an officially dressed woman in a pantsuit. And both of them said, "Kevin, is your name Kevin? You're to come with us." Kevin's skin shrank in, his soul left his body as they grabbed him and started pulling him away from his house. Thoughts rushing through his mind of, is this the last time I'm ever going to see my friends? Is this it? Am I getting pulled out of the city? Am I leaving Camelosity forever? I was just starting to make a change. Kevin got dragged into this circular dome, and as he saw it on the horizon, he knew exactly this was the time that he was to leave. As he got into the circular dome, he went down this long, white, perfectly clean aisle and then sorted into a side room. He saw a couple of other people, many of them much older. And as they sat him down, a different official came in, a much larger man with a general hat and a general shirt, looked at Kevin and said, "Kevin, we know you've been trying to change the city, and we think we see great things in you, but we don't want you creating a better atmosphere in the city that we live in. So, you have been fast-tracked to leave the city. You will leave tonight, along with a few other people. All of you will leave at different times and go to different places, but you must now carry out everything that you learned in school. It is time." And after that, everything went black. And Kevin woke up, and he was on this weird red superhighway. It seemed like almost like the lava they had been taught to bring out. And, well, he was told in school that this superhighway was a safe place to travel to wherever he needed to go. He woke up, dove his way into the superhighway, and was off. And while he kicked back and waited for him to arrive at the place, they told him in school that he would just know. He would get stuck, he would get caught somewhere, and that's how he knew. He started thinking about this world that he was born into. Why was he supposed to destroy it if it was the home to everyone that they knew? Wouldn't that end life as they knew it? Had the officials even thought of that? Well, Kevin decided that instead of destroying this world, why don't I go and try to find out what this world is? Maybe the world has better answers. And after a couple days of being in this superhighway, eventually Kevin was floating along, snoozing, until he felt himself a jolt as he got stuck on the wall. And a little bit of excitement left Kevin as he started clawing his way up and out of this superhighway. And he was met with these thick strands of red rope that just expands. And he remembers in school that this was the first thing, the first real challenge that he was going to meet. And it was going to be getting outside of the rope graveyard. And he looked around and he saw so many other of his kind stuck in the different yarns and in the different red ropes that just held everything together. But Kevin was a rather resolute guy. He pushed his way into the ropes and slowly started wiggling his way out. And he felt himself start to get stuck. He felt himself start to get trapped. He felt the red rope start to intertwine and squeeze around him. And at that moment, Kevin started to give up. And then he remembered what his purpose was. I am a dermatoxin, the only dermatoxin that will ever meet the world, because I'm the only one that's ever wanted to. I can't give up now. And he felt this fire inside of him. And as he did, the red rope started to burn away and pull off of him. And as he started clawing more out, more and more and more, there was a small little hole as Kevin slowly burrowed his way up and out. Then he met the Great Wall, the second and last obstacle to Kevin's, well, journey that they showed. And as Kevin got there, he then again saw tons of dermatoxins, his friends, not his friends, but people that were also from Camelosity scattered against this wall who had been pushing and, well, didn't make it. And Kevin knew that this was his one true chance to meet, well, the world. So Kevin started pushing against the wall harder and harder. He felt his hands burn with passion more and more as the wall slowly started to peel away, and he could see the lava coming up from behind him. And he knew that this was something he had to do, even though he was doing exactly what he was destined to do the entire time. He pushed and pushed and pushed until this great wall split open, the only split as far as he could see. And as soon as he did, the lava started pouring out of the split. And he looked up to see something that wasn't the world that he knew. It was bright. It was white. There was lights everywhere, sounds that he had never heard before, beeping, gassing, and machines, these synthetic things built all around him that he couldn't understand. And then he saw it. He saw this huge, hulking thing looking down on him, covered in a white mask and a cap that kept all of them in, and he could barely see the small little circles behind this sheen of plastic glass. And as he looked up, this thing didn't even notice him as it was moving along this large body. And he looked up and over and saw he was attached to a similar thing. And Kevin knew this wasn't a world. This was a person just like me. And he looks down and sees all the carnage that he had created. And I've hurt them. This world, this person, everything that I've ever done in my entire life to clean the world, I've just hurt an innocent, unknowing human or thing. And Kevin now knew he had to apologize. He pulled himself out of the blood and slowly started pulling himself up this white fabric with little circles all on it, getting higher and higher until he gets up to what seems to be a shoulder, just like his. And Kevin starts yelling, but the thing doesn't hear him. He sees they look a lot like him, but their eyes are sunken in. Their body is weak and frail. They look old and wrinkly. And he knows, well, the oldest of us can't hear very well, so he climbs up closer and closer until he gets up to their ear. And he yells as loud as he can, and just faintly, the person hears this yelling. And they slightly turn until they realize it's something small and on their shoulder. They look, and they can barely make out Kevin, a small speck on the entirety of their size. And all they hear in their ear is this small speck saying, "Hello, my name is Kevin." And they hear this loud booming voice back. "Hi, Kevin. How are you?" "I'm not doing too well myself." Clearly, the humans starting to feel as though they're losing their mind. Kevin yells, "I didn't understand the point of this world, but I've caused you so much damage. I was taught in Chemosity as a dermatoxin that I'm supposed to pull and rip and break, and I've hurt you. And The old woman's voice says back, "Well, I've lived my life and you've lived your life. There's not really much we can do, but I applaud you for fulfilling your purpose. It's something that I wish that I would have done more in my life. So although you may have hurt me, thank you for fulfilling your purpose." And Kevin, kind of taken aback by this niceness of this world that he had eventually ripped open, she says back to him, "Well, Kevin, it seems like this might be the end for me. It's been days and weeks and years like this, and I can feel it coming, the end. So thank you for saying goodbye and hello and telling me about your life. But it's my time to go, to maybe find my own purpose." And as Kevin sat on her shoulder, the life left her eyes, and he saw this wispy white as it ascended towards, well, up, something that was clearly imperceptible to the other things in the room. But at that moment, Kevin knew there was something more, and that old woman who had just, well, he had hurt and she had forgiven him for, she was going there. And maybe there was somewhere else for him to go to. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this on the spot story, and I'll see you next time.